Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of From the Fourth Line, presented by Offside News. My name's Emma, and I'm joined, as always, by my lovely co-host Marcie.
Hello.
It's a busy day. It is not pre-season. It's season opener eve. I know technically over the weekend we had two regular season games, and people don't really know how to classify like what is the first day of the season because we had the New Jersey Devils and the Buffalo Sabres play two games in Prague as part of their part of the global series, NHL's global series. And so those were regular season games. They counted, they mattered. New Jersey won
Yeah.
both. Um
It's because the Sabres are waiting to win at home.
yeah, sure. I watched a game and a half of that. It was rough for the Sabres.
Yeah.
But like no one else is playing, and like also as well, it was like two games, but like technically that's when the season starts, was October 4th. But like most of the games aren't until tomorrow. So we're just calling this the night before the season opener.
Yeah.
Today is like NHL regular season eve, I guess.
Yeah. Which is like Christmas but better.
It is like Christmas but better. It also means that because of that, because also as well, like technically speaking, NHL rosters aren't due until today, at 5 p.m. So there's been a flurry of movement over the weekend, and especially today as well. So I'm leading to believe like that's where it really counts. Like, because if they were really going, oh, start of the season is October 4th, then teams would have had to lock in their rosters by the 3rd.
Mm.
Am I correct? I'm correct. I'm always correct.
Yeah. You're so modest as well. So humble.
What can I say? What can I say? I'm just so goddamn humble.
Oh my god.
Call me Corwin from Bauer now. I can't even say Corin from Bar Down. Corin from Bauer.
Oh.
I'm just so goddamn humble.
Oh dear, someone save me.
But yes, that means there was a flurry. I don't know if you like were following the Elliot Friedman notifications at like 2:05 approximately today.
Potentially?
There was like 5. Okay, so you haven't seen them.
I don't think I've been very busy cramming in as much work as I can possibly do this afternoon.
Okay, perfect. So I get to tell you this news first. So as you know, there was a lot of so I guess we could start with the Leafs. So we'll start with the Leafs. Don't check your phone. And then
Well,
I'll get
on
and
the
then
floor.
I'll get to talk about this. So yeah, so the Leafs opening night roster essentially is pretty much set today, I'd say. You'd argue. Um
Yeah.
we still like I don't know if they'll do like an official. I'm trying to remember if they did like an official announcement last year for the roster, or if it is just kind of a thing where it's like they don't officially announce it, but it is just everyone who's left.
Yeah.
But there was some movement today. Congratulations to Steven Lorentz for joining my elite group of bottom
Yeah.
6 Florbo forwards who are going directly into my pocket for being so endearing. He signed a contract
Huge
officially.
difference.
1 year minimum salary, so $775,000. I think that's huge. That's huge depth for the fourth line. He looked really great in all of his preseason games. I think especially against Detroit, he looked fantastic playing with Kampf and Reeves.
Yeah.
And especially then when Dewar is healthy, you can slot him in there as well and kind of rotate through
Beautiful.
those 4. Like I just got a notification right now that the Suns are still making new moves.
Oh, busy, busy.
Yeah, busy. Which one of those names really funny. Tyler, my radio co-host, was really excited that he had not been put on waivers or had not been sent down like 20 minutes
Oh,
ago.
oh, I'm
So
sorry.
I Wednesday's gonna be a very exciting show.
Yeah, very excited for
Do
that.
actually no, Wednesday's gonna be a great. I'm really excited for Wednesday's show this week. On the radio, so tune in, please. I will probably tweet out the link on Wednesday before we go live, before we go on air. And then also as well, and maybe I do owe Alan Walsh an apology for this one. You know what? I do owe. I'm not gonna say sorry, but maybe I do owe him an apology for this one because I really did talk a lot of shit about this one multiple times to multiple different people across multiple different platforms.
Oh dear.
Max Pacioretty signed to a 1-year, $873,000, $770 contract. I said that number correctly. Sure. Plus bonuses. Because sure, that can add an extra $600,000 depending on the number of games played. I think the first is like 10 games, and then there's another level at 35 games played. Both signed to contracts for the season. So sure. All right. You win, Alan Walsh. Do I also think this was less than I thought the Max Pacioretty contract was going to be? Yes, absolutely. Considering it's Max Pacioretty, I thought, because I'm actually surprised it is this low. No, I'm not surprised that it's a weird, awkward number, because I just remember like the Zach Aston Reese contract was formatted the same way, where it was a weird, awkward number of like you just get whatever room is left at the end of the day, and it was the same with Noah Gregor last season. It was just you just get whatever numbers, like whatever amount of money is left at the end of the day, and I think that's what this was. Plus, there was also bonuses, so I think then like brings up him into like the $1.2 million range if he plays 35 games this season overall. But then that $600,000 then gets applied to next year's cap, which some people would be like, well, that'll like there's a mixed opinions on that of like either okay, the Leafs are going to be at a better spot cap wise, obviously, next year, so maybe then that $600,000, whatever, no biggie. Or the $600,000 will not like, or that will be like a huge deal and will greatly impact the Leafs.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need that $600,000 of space. Because the Leafs are always right there at the top. But I will say, the best part about this, and this is via a tweet, shout out to Kyle Cashman for bringing this out. This is via Kyle Cashman on Twitter, but Leafs are cap compliant by $1 with these moves after signing Max Pacioretty and Steven Lorentz.
Insanely on brand. I hate it.
Sending down Easton Cowan. Short-term injury reserve Minton, which then only about $76,000 and change against the cap. Injury reserve Dewar, LTIR, Yarncroc, Hakapa, and Mermis. $1. Brandon Brenham, pat yourself on the back, because this is like some insane next level sorcery of being trapped in like in Scotiabank's in SVA's basement in a windowless room and not being allowed out until you made the Leafs cap compliant.
And he's done it, so I hope he enjoys his few minutes of freedom before he's
stuck back down there because someone who is on this injury list is then healthy.
And then good luck to him.
Good luck to him. Like, what do you do? Not envy him. Like, yeah, no, what are you gonna do when like Dewar is ready to come back or like Yarncroc is ready to come back? Because he's still day-to-day, according to Craig Berube. But he has to miss 10 games, no matter at what level of health he is, if he's put on LTIR. Minton, probably you can solve that because he's able to bounce back and forth freely between the Marlies and the Leafs. So have fun becoming Nick Robertson this season. Hey, at least he doesn't have to drive between Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you know what? At least
he just has to drive down the street. Yeah, or maybe actually no, you can walk or take the streetcar. It's like
he's the sort of person
it's a 35 like 40-minute walk.
If anyone's gonna walk
Scotiabank Arena, between Scotiabank Arena and Coca-Cola Coliseum, or it's a streetcar. Or if he's staying over at Etobicoke, like half the Leafs roster do. Do you know how much it is when it's like it gets mentioned and I'm like, stop, go away. Leave me alone.
Leave.
I do not want to potentially see Craig Berube in the Tobacco coffee shop talking to Mitch Marner. I still do not know. Not that I want to know, but it's more of like I am unsure of what um I'm unsure about like which coffee shop in Etobicoke has giant flat screen TVs. But yeah. So I can't believe the Leafs were able to get cap compliant. I mean, some of that is because of injuries, and we will probably see more moves potentially. I thought they were going to be forced to trade someone, especially with the depth in the bottom six that they have. I mean, that doesn't mean that we still won't see that at some point as guys get healthy and no one else, fingers crossed, gets injured. But we never know. More things just about this is like, as it stands right now, based on the lines we saw in practice, which can change because the Leafs don't play for another 2 days. They don't play till Wednesday. Is that Bobby McMahon currently sits as the 13th forward for the Leafs, which is crazy. This is where I sit here and I go, okay, so why? I know we hit a spot last year with this roster and we talked where there was no one. You had no one.
Yeah.
And you were playing like Noah Gregor, top line left wing.
Yeah.
Because that happened because somebody brought the plague through the locker room multiple times. Not naming any names, but we can all infer.
We all know. We don't name any names, but we all look to the one guy in the room who's like stood in the corner looking a bit guilty.
Yeah, we all know. And especially also as well, like more of these guys do have kids. And if you don't know, kids are like germ magnets. They're icky, they're sticky, they're gross, they're adorable, but they're disgusting.
Everywhere.
Oh my God, the open mouth coughing. I can't do it. Oh my God. Okay, I'm going off topic with this story, but like when I was in Amsterdam this summer, I had 3 hours to spend in Amsterdam between my trains. On my grand European adventure. So I was like, I was like, I didn't really have time to like go to a museum or anything. And I had my backpack with me too. So I was like, I will just walk around the streets of Amsterdam, grab lunch for 3 hours. So I ended up walking around and I grabbed some lunch and then I picked up some French fries, as one does. Because literally it's the best thing ever. They will have these like just these it is like a fast food restaurant, but you don't sit down in there. It literally is like these like walls of just like hot trays. And so you like select which one you tap your card. It's like a vending machine for hamburgers.
I'm not sure how I feel about that concept.
No, but they're like freshly made.
Yeah.
There's only like one or two, like there's like one in each thing at a time. So like as it's empty, they put a new one in. And then you can go up to the counter and like order fries and stuff. Sorry, I'm getting like notifications from like the offside work chat as this happens, and people are dropping rosters all day today. Oh! Wild just extended Jesper Wellstead.
Oh!
At 2 years at 2.2 AAV. Solid. I think that's great for them.
Nice one.
I think that's great.
Oh. That's nice.
That's good. That's
solid.
Good for the Minnesota Wild. You know what? No, like that's not even. Anyways, and I was there, and I went to go take my fries, and I was just like sitting on a bench along the canal in Amsterdam, and it was great. But there was this family that then sat down next to me, and like there was like 3 toddler, young school-age children, and all 3 of them were just coughing up a storm, and I was like this close to just like straight up getting up and moving. Because I was like, I can't fucking deal with you coughing right beside me. I was like, if these motherfuckers get me sick, I swear to God. Sorry for calling children motherfuckers on a podcast episode.
You just like had a little moment there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
actually very
like,
rude of you. I'm sorry about that. That's on me.
sorry to
My
children.
parents so listen to this and be like, I'm gonna get another text from my dad about swearing less on the show. It's fine. I'm not even I look, there's certain things I can't even say like I can't even say asshole on the radio.
Just
So we
devastating.
had to refer to Logan Mayu as a very terrible person last week.
Oh my god. Oh
So
dear.
yeah, but I just anyways, tangent aside. But like I do understand like the importance of having depth and stuff like that, but like also at the same time, at some point like you're going to want to bring up Fraser Minton at some point because he can like potentially be ready to play for you this season,
Mm.
halfway through the season. We also do know that like the opening day roster is the furthest thing away from what game 82 looks like.
Yeah.
We know this. We know we have this conversation I think every year where it's like, okay, yeah, but like there's like some guys that just weren't on opening day roster who became then season regulars for this team. Yeah, here it goes. Leafs have loaned Easton Cowan to the London Knights.
Oh, bye
Leafs
bye.
PR just came in through now. Oh cow. Hey,
The
that means
child
I
is born.
will you know what? That means I will see him when I buy my ticket to see it when the London Knights
Oh,
come
yeah.
to absolutely destroy the 67s in December.
I can't wait. I will even be there. Oh dear.
Uh
Talking about children coughing up her mouth has made me wonder which NHL players cough with their mouths open.
Matthew Knies.
Stop.
He mouth breathes on that bench. Like anytime they cut on the bench, he just looks absolutely he just is like sitting there slackjaw.
Yeah, he's unfortunately yeah, that's see now I'm just gonna be thinking about this all night. I'll have to make a list. Assigned
Come back
mouth
next episode
cougher.
with a list. Um, but yeah, no, like because you think about Bobby McMahon was another guy who's not on the opening day roster
Mm.
for this team. Um,
And look at
Nick
him.
Robertson, I believe, as well. Um, Simon Benoit, not on opening day roster. Like, so you think there's a lot of iterations that this team will go throughout the season due to injury or due to trades or due to just low performance. Guys will get sent down or whatever.
Mm.
So we'll see as it changes. And that's also the whole point of like the season happening. Like, there's a reason why you just don't put together a roster and then go straight into the playoffs.
Yeah.
A regular season happens for a reason. Um, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, also as well, just some notes from because we never really discussed the last two preseason games because those also happened after last week's show.
Yeah.
But notes from Toronto versus Detroit. Um, I have down here the fourth line could be in their best iteration yet
Mm.
with increased depth. Like we haven't even seen Connor Dewar in preseason action, but we do know what he can do.
Yes.
Um, and like we've seen what he could do in the little time that he was with Toronto, but also as someone who watched him in Minnesota, we know what he can do. He's really
Yeah.
reliable and consistent, and I think that's
Mm.
such a key part of this fourth line, and that is what
Yeah.
all of these guys can do. All I guess four, because there is like you have Steven Lorentz now, you have David Kampf, and you have Ryan Reeves, and you have Connor Dewar. But those
Mm.
3, 4 guys are going to bring such great consistency and dependency for the fourth line, which is what you need your fourth line to do. You need your fourth line to be guys that you can rely on and trust on and be like, okay,
Mm.
I need to send out a group of guys who are going to be a little bit more defensively minded, but are still have the capacity to score goals, which we
Yeah.
saw on Saturday that this fourth line can do with with Ryan Reeves making a behind the net play to set up Steven Lorentz. What is this?
Who is this man and where has he been hiding? It was I think that Saturday's game was just such
Saturday's
a
game
good
was
game for the fourth line.
yeah.
Like
I
the
mean, James Duthie called them good looking on air. I was like, I mean, usually something I would say, but yes, you're right.
It's like, speak your truth. Speak the truth.
But yeah, no, and obviously, as the name of our show suggests, we do love the fourth line.
No way, that's so crazy.
So yeah, I think the fourth line looked great. I'm excited to see them, especially when Dewar is back and healthy, because I said this at the end of the season last year when we were talking about him, and then again when we were talking about his extension being signed, is that we didn't see a lot of specifically goal scoring. We saw him help make plays and rack up assists and things like that, but specifically his goal scoring, we didn't see him do a lot of that with the Leafs in the less than half a season that he had left after he got traded. But then we also didn't know that he then required shoulder surgery.
Yeah,
until the season ended.
There's always
that, right? But if you watched him in Minnesota, you would know that like he can score goals and he's really good at scoring goals shorthanded. And that's what he did. That's what he did quite a fair bit in Minnesota. And I think that, now being able to settle down in Toronto and get used to the systems and get used to being in a new city, and then also now coming back, like having work done on his shoulder, I do think we're going to see more of that from him when he comes back to the lineup.
Yeah.
And I think, Ryan Reaves is a guy that, depending on who is the matchup, you cycle him in through that lineup. You're not playing Ryan Reaves 82 games.
No.
You can't do that. And I think, then you have to sort of look at it, Bobby McMann is another name as well that can get thrown into that conversation. But it's like, you have to think about, okay, so Ryan Reaves is probably going to play Wednesday against Montreal, considering how Leafs versus Montreal in the preseason went.
Certain situations.
And I don't, like, fighting is such a nuanced topic to have a conversation with. And I kind of was explaining this today to people because of the video because of the fact that, like, after practice today, you could, it was like Ryan Reaves was teaching Philip Myers how to fight. And some people were like, I don't really like that. I'm like, but you do have to understand that, like, yes, fighting bad. We know. Fighting not great. We don't, like, unfortunately, though, fighting is still part of hockey, and it is still a large part of hockey. Less and less than it used to be, but there's more of it. But
knowing how to fight safely
is really important, and that's why I think it's a good thing, like a seasoned veteran enforcer guy like Ryan Reaves, who is known for his ability to fight people, is teaching guys how to fight properly and safely, so that when they do perhaps have to fight someone for whatever reason,
they know what
to do so they don't get themselves hurt.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people forget that. They're like, that's so irresponsible. And it's like, actually, no. It's making sure that someone doesn't, like, get really badly injured or suffer the consequences of fighting later in life to such a great extent. Because fighting safely is better than just going for it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, if you're going to fight, you would want it to be done safely, and so that's why I think it's sometimes important to have, like, that's why guys like Ryan Reaves, who have been in that role for so long in their careers, as controversial as the enforcer role is, it is a good thing that he is in that Leafs locker room, teaching guys who have never had a career fight or don't have a lot of experience fighting or aren't very good at fighting to be able to do it properly if the situation arose where they would have to.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's the same conversation we have about, I think we had this conversation as well about PWHL and hitting, where it was like, hitting in women's hockey, we love it. We great. The other thing, though, is that if you're going to introduce that, you have to make sure that it's done safely. And that the players not only know how to throw hits, but know how to receive hits. And that's the thing where it's like you are changing sort of a culture in women's hockey. Like if you watch women's hockey compared to men's hockey, it's very different. Even if you're watching at like the same level, like I've gone and seen like my university, like I've seen the men play and I've seen the women play. So it's U Sports hockey. It's the same level of hockey. And the women's, it's a different game. They are so much, and I was having this conversation with one of my other co-hosts, Mary, my other radio co-host, Mary, because we were at Uwatawa's home opener over the weekend, covering the game for the radio show, and we were having a conversation during intermission about like the difference between men and women's hockey because she's a big watcher of women's hockey. So am I. And we were talking about how like there's a different like women's hockey, they're so sneaky in how they get away with things. Like if you watch them, they're able to like do little things that allow them to get away with essentially like men can't get away with because they're so used to just being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna throw a hit. Whereas like in women's hockey, they're like, no, I can't throw a hit, but I like still need to, make a play, right? And so the problem that the PWHL had a lot was like girls were like, okay, we're gonna throw hits, let's throw hits, but then they didn't know how to receive or take the hit. So instead of sitting there and taking the hit in the same way that you would see in a men's game, they were dodging the hits. And that sometimes results in more injuries.
Yeah.
Because instead of being someone throwing a hit at another person, you're throwing a hit now at the space in which another person used to occupy that's now just a board.
Yeah.
So I think, and that's something that, if you're going to have those physical aspects of hockey, which it is a physical sport, you want to just make sure that everyone is doing it safely. Other thoughts that I had about Toronto, the 2 games against Toronto and Detroit, I'm going to pile them into one game. Again, I have goaltending is strong.
Joseph Woll, have yourself a game.
Joseph Woll had a great game. He made some fantastic saves. Really bailed the Leafs out of a lot of defensive mishaps. I mean, they weren't fully icing their top blue line that they could. Jake McCabe wasn't in that game. Who else wasn't in that game? We did see Morgan Riley and Chris Tanev again, but like Jake McCabe wasn't in that game. Oh my God, there was someone else who was not in that game, and I can't think of who it was.
I'm trying to think, but I'm not being very successful.
I'm sure probably if we looked up Leafs PR.
Yeah.
It would be right. Then we could actually probably just see straight up the lineup. At Detroit, that's at the Detroit Red Wings. Here we go. Oh, we saw Connor Timmins. Philippe Myers, like some of these guys, I don't think like because Connor Timmins is not in your game 1 lineup.
No.
So, yeah. But yeah, no, but he did like I mean, Husso put up a great game in the second game on Saturday.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Leafs had a good game. I don't want to keep saying the same thing about Stollards, but literally it is the thing that like I notice the most when he is in net. And it is his position.
Would you like to say that again, just in case?
No, because I say it every time we talk about him, and I have to think of something else to say about his goaltending, but it is always the thing that stands out the most to me when he is in net. And maybe it's because I'm so like Joseph Woll, I know Joseph Woll's style of play, right? But also as well, like Joseph Woll and Anthony Stollards are not going to have the same size of play because, like Joseph Woll said, I'm not 7 feet tall. He is not like he's actually like compared to like the rest of the goaltenders that the Leafs have in their organization, he's on the short side, which is crazy to say about someone who's like 6'2", 6'3". It's on the short side because all the other Leafs goalies are huge and massive and tall. But yeah, like so, but Stollards, like I guess more so comparing him to like Ilya Samsonov, who he is essentially replacing. They just like his positioning is just so much better. But
Yeah, so much better.
My other note I have here is Nick Robertson needs to be on this team.
Yep.
And hats off to Craig Berube for using him more. I know it's the preseason, so the player usage is a little bit different than in the regular season, but he did play most of the games except for the
Yeah.
game on Saturday.
Mm.
I believe he played every game of the preseason except for the last one against Detroit. And that's because he then after the game on Thursday in Detroit, it was then like, oh, he's injured.
Mm.
Right? Um
But yeah, no, I'm just so happy that Nick Robertson's getting a chance, like a proper chance to be like, yeah, I'm really good. Yeah, I'll score every goal ever. Yeah, this is what you've missed out on. And I'm just happy for him.
Yeah. And like as well also like again scored on Thursday against
Mm.
Detroit.
Yeah.
So twice. Yes, twice because I was in offside beat pitch meeting during that game.
Oh yeah, you were.
And so I had the game off to the side while we were in the pitch meeting and at one point and I'm sure anyone who was in that meeting could tell you, my jaw hits the floor because I look over and I watch his second goal, which is just a gorge. Like it's like a thing where I'm like, only Austin Matthews scores from that angle on the Leafs, right?
Mm.
It was like one of those where I'm like, no man should score from unless you're Austin Matthews. No one scores from that angle like ever, and
Mm.
he
Smashed it.
smashed it. Yeah. I also have like, what's up with Liljegren? His game confuses me. I just don't
Yeah.
know.
He's been. I feel mean saying this, but he's been just invisible. Like I've barely noticed that he's been on the ice,
Yeah.
which is not what we're used to from him. Which is a shame. But yeah, I don't know what's up with him. Maybe he's just having a few, not flops, but less good games.
Oh, Leafs just dropped their opening roster.
Ooh.
All right. Here we go. I can read it off, but yeah, also as well, I also just have as well, Nyes will stick with Austin and Mitch and should.
I'm so excited to see him
Here
with
we
us.
go. The Toronto Maple Leafs, blah blah blah. A total of 13 forwards, 8 defensemen, and 2 goalies. Forwards Connor Dewar upper body and Fraser Mitten lower body have been placed on injured reserve, while forward Cal Yarncroke lower body, defenseman Yanni Hankava lower body, and Dakota Mermis upper body have been placed on long-term injured reserve. We've been new. Goaltender Matt Murray and defenseman Marshall Revai have been loaned to the Toronto Marlies. We've been new. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see. It is exactly what we thought. There is no shocks here. Oh, Philip Myers, though, did make opening day roster.
Oh.
So did Connor Timmins. Somehow this cap all works. I'm going to believe Brandon Pridham.
Yep. I'm gonna believe him because I'm not gonna do the math myself.
As I've been talking about this, I've been trying to teach myself bio math, and Simon had to watch me have like a mental breakdown last night over this article to the point where I just straight up gave up on it.
Oh,
I was like, I
dear.
never want to do this again.
Yeah, it's a rough one. But no.
But yeah, um,
Yeah, pretty much exactly.
literally what I
What?
outlined in the Kyle Cushman tweet.
Yeah. It's no surprises. Look at him go.
Yeah. I guess also okay, so now we can talk into some crazy waivers yesterday. Yesterday was a crazy day for waivers. The list was crazy long. It also included 7 former Toronto Maple Leafs across my first glance. I didn't even do any like digging into where I'm like, that name sounds familiar. No, no, no. 7 former Leafs on waivers yesterday. The highlights were Pierre Engvall, which
Yeah,
is great.
I
I
giggled.
said this when this contract got signed. Marcie knows my thoughts when I saw when I saw him sign 7
Oh,
years. I
I
thought Lou
remember it
Lamoriello.
well.
I thought Lou Lamoriello was crazy for that because, like, okay, yes, Pierre Engvall, hockey, he can play. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
He also does not throw a hit to save his life.
Hmm.
He does
Yeah.
not play a physical game of hockey, despite the fact that this man is like 6'5".
Yeah, he's tall as a giraffe. He plays like a giraffe on skates.
Yeah. He not another tall, large, not a pretty skater. Um,
Add him to the club.
yeah. But so he was put on and like the fact that he signs a 7-year contract and then gets put on waivers after 1 season is honestly it sucks for him
Yeah.
because I think even I don't even know if I want to check if that contract comes with like trade protection because if it does, I'm about to laugh. Teams,
Mm.
blah blah blah. New York Islanders, blah blah blah. Lou Lamoriello, you're crazy, blah blah blah. I think it's stupid, and then it also allows me to make so many jokes
Mhm.
about about yeah, like they buried his 1.8, I believe is the contract that they buried.
Mm.
Like I look, it allows me to make jokes about the fact that like it is the New York Islanders overall don't know how to sign contracts. Okay, no, so it's a $3 million cap hit, but they still have to pay some of his money because they're burying $3 million of contract.
Yeah.
7 years. Why do you do this for 3 million? Like, oh, there is. I
No.
knew it had trade protection.
No,
It
it
has a
didn't.
modified no trade clause. Okay, how many teams is it? Tell me how many teams. 16. Woo!
I'm not being funny, but like, what?
What are you doing? Why is it a 16?
That's insane.
How did
I'm
Okay.
actually baffled.
Also put on waivers, former Leafs, Justin Hall,
No. La la
James
la la
Reimer,
la la. I can't hear you.
James Reimer, Adam Gaudette, former Leaf, um, Zach Aston Reese, and there was one more name and I can't remember it. So obviously if I can't remember it, didn't really matter.
Yep.
I also just don't want to dig up the Elliot Friedman tweet of like the entire full list and try to find the names again. But yeah. Um I think the Pierre Engvall one is like the craziest one though, because it's like, why?
Yeah.
Why give him this contract? $3 million AAV. I think it's $3 million like direct salary each year. Yeah, it is.
That's
$3 million AAV, 7 years, 6 team no trade clause. That's so what do you even do? What do you even do?
beats me. But no, that's like actually insane. But yeah, no, I will say, um, was not too thrilled about seeing Justin Hall on that list.
Yeah, if you follow Marcie on Twitter, she had a
I
little bit of a mental
reacted
breakdown
very
yesterday.
normally. I reacted so normally, I swear. It felt so that the moment I saw someone tagged me in it. It was basically just repeating the day I found out he'd signed with the Red Wings, in which my jaw fell to the floor. I had a breakdown on Twitter, and I felt a lot of emotions, all of them sad. Yeah, totally normal reaction, you know, totally normal. So fine. Oh, Justin. I miss him. And I'm gonna miss him even more now because I can't even watch him play. Which is deeply upsetting. But yeah. I will say I think I had 3 people DM me about it. I had at least one person tag me in it, if not 2. I think it was 2. So yeah, I've created a brand which I'm very proud of. But
yeah. Which leads us into the fact that today at 2:05, all of the news about the waivers, about who cleared and who got claimed, came through. And you know how we talked about on last episode about the Boston Bruins claiming a goalie called Yuri Patera for the Vancouver Canucks? Well, they claimed him back.
oh,
But that's because the Boston Bruins now have no need for another goalie. We'll get to that
yeah.
conversation. But yeah, also as well, Anaheim claimed James Reimer. The Vegas Golden Knights claimed Raphael Lavoie and Schwint. And the Columbus Blue Jackets claimed Zach Aston Reese.
Yay!
Our boy's gonna play in the NHL.
I didn't even see that.
That's why I didn't want you to check your phone.
Oh,
I wanted to
yay!
tell you.
Oh, if only a certain Toronto-based team had claimed Justin Hall.
With what cap space? We have
Look,
a singular dollar.
yeah, and you know what? Give him the dollar. Pay him a dollar. I don't care. Figure it out. But oh, Carlin Lillet, Columbus. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, Carlin. Yeah, going to Columbus. But I do think he will be a good addition to Columbus.
Oh yeah. Guess he'll get the time there.
Yeah, he will get the time there as well, which is good. Which is kind of the problem that he had when he was with Detroit last year. I mean, because he was getting a fair bit of time in Toronto, but last year with Detroit, like he spent most of the season in Grand Rapids with their AHL affiliate, and then was only really called up a couple times throughout the year. But I think in Columbus he'll get some really good play. And I was talking about this to Kat, Offside's Columbus beat reporter, about Zach Aston Reese and how good of a fit he'll be. Graphic design king. I'm sure he'll appreciate the logo there.
Oh.
Now that's a man who loves a good logo.
He loves a good logo.
But yeah, also as well, a lot of players were sent back to their CHL teams today, as we just discussed. Easton Cowan. The Leafs also sent back Brandon Lazowski back to Saskatoon to do a season as an overager. And I'm sure probably he will get signed to a contract. The Leafs seem really intrigued and still keeping him within their system, despite the fact that they don't have any claimed over his draft rights anymore. But it seems unlikely that he will go somewhere else. I'm sure they've had that conversation also as well. Ottawa Senators sent back, Carter Yakimchuk. Flyers sent down Barkley and Bonk back to London.
Bonk.
Those are the Barkey. Is it Barkey and Bonk? Barkley?
Barkey.
They all look the same too. That's the problem.
Yeah. They do. I just love going bonk. I just think that's fun.
Yeah. But yeah, all the 2023 and 2024 picks have been sent back in their directions. I think because even like the Preds sent back Moendijk and like if you look, like everyone was getting sent back. I don't think there was very many people who were left. But not really, like there wasn't like too many surprises in that aspect. I think like I know a lot of Sens fans were like thinking about potentially maybe Yakimchuk will get to play his like 9 games or whatever and then get sent back. But I do think also as well it's hard for a defenseman. Like development just takes a little bit longer than if you're a forward because you have to have the ability to read the game. What else do I got here in my notes? Yeah. Quickly, we're going to speak on it. Jack Campbell enters the NHL and NHLPA's player assistant program. Wish him all the best. Hope he gets the help he needs. Rooting for him. Yeah. Also as well with Hurricane Milton. So a second hurricane is hitting Florida. With Hurricane Milton expected to make landfall in the next couple of days, there could be a potential impact on the NHL season. With the Tampa Bay Lightning evacuating today. They play Carolina on Friday, and they're supposed to have their home opener on Saturday. We will see.
Who knows?
Who knows? Because that hurricane is really meant to impact the Tampa Bay area. So hopefully everyone in that area is staying safe and evacuating and following the directives of their local oh my God, what is the local organization that's in charge of that stuff? I've never had to evacuate for a hurricane, so I don't know what that's like. Can't imagine it is fun though. However, that is also like the second hurricane to hit Florida in the span of like a week, which is crazy. I think so.
Yeah. We'll see what happens with all
that. Yeah. Oh, also as well, I guess we can talk about the elephant in the room. Jeremy Swayman signed his contract for 8 years at $8.25 million AAV. There is still some. Who knows if Corpusella will still start season opener? I know there's some delays that could impact that.
I was very surprised. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think it was gonna work out.
Yeah, because Bruins play their first game tomorrow against the Florida Panthers, but that game is still a little bit up in the air about due to just like hurricane stuff.
Yeah.
And then they wouldn't play so potentially Jeremy Swayman could be good to go for Thursday against the Habs for the Bruins home opener. We will see. I will say 11th hour, that contract very much was signed. It was signed yesterday. You get the Elliot Friedman notification at like 8:30 in the morning about Jeremy Swayman may sign a contract. And then I'm like, oh my God, please have it. And then it's like 5 minutes later, it's like official, and then you know the term and everything. But I will say I am very glad that it was all done by 9 a.m. because yesterday was my school's homecomings. We have big football game every year, and I am wearing the sweater in the honor. You Ottawa stands on top. 6th year in a row we win Panda game. Take that. Simon was ready to jump off a bridge by the end of that game. Because the Carleton Ravens went off to an early lead, but could not hold back the force of the Ottawa GGs. So we win for a 7th year in a row. It was very exciting. Kind of almost went right down to the end. I mean, Carleton made a late surge back, but I will say kind of the nail in the coffin was the interception on a punt return, which means nothing. Right. They went to go kick it. I'll send you the video if I can find it. They
Okay.
went to go, Carleton went to go kick it to send it down the field,
Mm.
and it essentially then got deflected and bounced off a Uottawa guy's like helmet as he went to go charge the punter, the guy who kicking, and so then it was an interception, and the Uottawa was able to score a touchdown because
Oh.
they were able to then pick it up after it bounced off the guy's head and ran down to the field to score a touchdown. It was I'll try and find a video of it and see if I can send it to you.
I'm sorry, Simon.
Because it was very exciting. It was great. We were sitting on the Carleton side because Simon bought the tickets, but there was a big section of Uottawa fans sitting like right next to us who were really loud and really getting into it. Like include like sitting on like because I was sitting beside Simon, sitting on Simon's other side was a guy I worked with. And so we were like, yeah, let's go.
Like, yeah.
Um
Oh dear.
but yeah, no, it was great, very fun game. It's always a fun game every year. I mean, I can say that because we win every year, 6 years in a row, which is honestly crazy. That's embarrassing if you lose against the same team 6 years in a row. Could you imagine that?
I mean, at what point do you just kind of give up?
Yeah, Winnipeg Jets. At one point, you just give up. Sorry. I think about that all the time. They posted that video about like, is there anything better than beating the Leafs, and then never won against them ever again.
It's just beautiful. We do love to see it.
It's the funniest thing in the entire world.
Oh dear.
It's so good.
When the
Because it's
downfall of the
so
Winnipeg
funny.
Jets is in fact the Winnipeg Jets.
When the hubris is just a little bit too big.
Oh, but no, it's beautiful. We love to see it.
But yeah, no. So it was fun. So that's what I did yesterday. But then also like halfway through the game, all that waiver news dropped. And so like I was like trying to be like
just like
I was like trying to like tweet out a little bit. I was also like trying to answer messages in like the offside work chat. And I was like, guys, I gotta go. I gotta put my phone back on Do Not Disturb. I gotta get back into this football game.
yeah.
I watch one complete football game a year. It is Panda. And then I want to watch 1.5 games. The half game is the Super Bowl up until the halftime show, and then I watch the halftime show, and then I go to bed.
Real.
Yeah,
I watch one football game a year, and that is the Super Bowl because it means we can all get really drunk.
It's the fact that like bars will have like Super Bowl watch parties with the sound, like in the advertise, like sound on.
Yeah, no. Oh, I remember during first year, I went to a Super Bowl watch party at a pub.
Is it the one that had the sign that when I was there, like that was like the one with the weird circle window? Do you know what there was on the corner?
Yeah, it's like the rounded building.
Yeah.
Yeah. See? That was where I was, and I had
the
9 a.m. the next day.
Oh, the joy of visiting Marcie is that I can now reference.
You know my route home. Emma FaceTimed me the other day to tell me that Justin Hall was playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was on my walk home because I'd been in the library. And then I'm just sat and I was like, oh yeah, I'm crossing this road. And you're like, oh, that road. And then so I pass a bin that is called the Sidney Crosby bin because it's for the house number 87. And I pass it every single day on the walk in and on the walk back. And everyone just goes, have you passed the Sidney Crosby bin yet? And I'm like, I'm literally 3 houses away. I'm like, you just You know the route too well.
Yeah. Yeah. What
But the
can I
sad
say?
thing is, you're probably never gonna walk that route again.
No. No.
Unless for some reason we end up in Manchester and just walk to stand outside the house I used to live in.
Why would we do that though?
Yeah, why would we? They're fond memories.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm trying to think of like if there's anything else that I'm forgetting. But yeah, no, Jeremy Swayman contract. I mean, the
What
8
a
years is
mess.
good. I actually wanted to hold on. I'm gonna very quickly look at if there's any no move stuff on there, like no trade clauses or anything, because I
Hmm.
don't know. Oh, there is.
Hmm.
Huh.
Oh.
Okay, so starting in year 7.
Hmm.
Okay, sorry. Starting in year 3 is no movement clause.
Okay.
What? Okay, so start. This is the protection. This is kind of weird. Okay, starting in year 3 of this 8-year contract, he has a full no move clause
Mm.
until year 7, which means where he has a 10-team approved trade list, which means he submits a list of 10 teams of like, you can trade me to these 10 teams. Odds are they're all Eastern Conference American teams. I'm willing to put money on this.
Yeah, that's
And then in
not
starting in year
surprising.
8, then in year 8, so the last year of the contract, he then has a 10-team no trade list, means he submits a list of 10 teams of like, do not trade me. Do not trade me here. Probably every single Canadian team plus like a couple West Coast teams.
Yeah. But yeah,
But yeah, that is the Jeremy Swayman contract. There's also a bunch of signing bonuses. So yeah.
mm,
But the AAV is 8.25. Which like is fine. I mean, that brings him up there when it comes to being like among the top paid goalies in the
mm,
league. It he is up there now in like that top like 5 or 6 of the highest paid goalies in the league. Um, I mean, like I don't have too much to say.
no, I'm just more surprised that they got it sorted as soon as they did, especially after like the last week.
Yeah, that's the thing too, where I was like, oh, okay.
So sounds like he's going somewhere else. Like he's
Literally, like that's what I think I said was like there's 3 options for what happens. He signs,
mm,
he gets traded because he refuses to sign,
yeah.
or he gets offer sheeted and
And
sign and agrees to the offer sheet. I'm surprised there was only like a couple of teams that could have offer sheeted him,
mm,
that had like the draft pick capital like assets to offer because you have to give
yeah.
up picks for that. And then also that to offer sheet him, and then also had like the cap space barring a trade. So there wasn't like too many places he could end up. I think it was only about like after I looked at it in depth, it was only about like 6 or 7 teams.
Yeah.
Most of them not very good ones.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think like surprisingly enough, like if the it was like surprisingly enough if the Nashville Predators made a trade, because they have so many draft picks that they could have signed him.
Mm.
But also then what would you do with UC Saros and Jeremy Swayman?
Have a very, very sexy set of goalies.
You like that's the thing where I'm like, that's mental. You're also then putting Jeremy Swayman back into the tandem position where it's like, okay, so now he's still like part of a tandem. Anyways, it'll be interesting
Mm.
to see like obviously that contract probably come year 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. will be a great deal. I mean, some people
Oh,
may say that 8.25 right now is an overpay, but it's only an overpay for this season just because of the fact that like he's so untested on his own, and
yeah.
depending on how the season goes, probably by next season, it's like, yeah, this is fair value for Jeremy Swayman.
Yeah.
And I only just say that because like he's never played in the NHL at the NHL level as the starter. Like he's always been a part of a tandem, whether
Mm.
it be with a little bit with Tuukka Rask or with Linus Ullmark.
Yeah.
Um, so who knows? Well, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, we'll see about because I don't think this game has been officially postponed. What did you send me? Has been officially postponed. This again, you already sent me this to me like 2 months ago.
And
Anyways, but so who knows? I mean, even I think it was today, it was Don Sweeney or Jim Montgomery said that Swayman like they're not totally ruling him out playing game one, but it might be Jonas Corposalo. Who knows? I mean, it's good for Bruins fans to get this signed, but also I kind of wish it went on a little bit. Like there's like the
we want the drama.
well, also as well, like the Leafs fan in me who has sat through many years of torture because of the Boston Bruins, being like, I wish he held out just like a little bit longer,
I
make
want
them
them to come
sweat a little bit, like make them sweat a little bit,
back.
have them sit through like at least 2 games of Jonas Corposalo starting in net,
And then
and then okay, sign the deal. I am surprised it was like done that quickly, like you said, like because there was so much crap in the media from the Bruins, and then the statement by Louis Gross, and like I wonder how that changed. I wonder what it was that changed, if it was truly actually like that is still though a crazy amount of protection. That's more protection than what Ilya Sorokin has.
yeah, it's a lot.
Um
I mean, good for him for getting it.
yeah, good for him, but like that it like Ilya Sorokin, who is I think the only other goalie who I can think of off the top of my because what is Flores signed to? Not Florida. What is Bobrovsky signed to? Is he signed to an 8-year?
I don't know. Yeah.
He's coming off of a 7-year. Like that's the thing. Like goalies getting 8 years is very strange.
Mm.
And even
Do you know who I
Bobrovsky's
would give an
7-year
8-year contract
contract.
to?
Joseph Wool, we know. But even like Bobrovsky has like his modified like because in the last 2 years of his deal he has a modified no trade clause. It is just a 16 team no trade list, so it's like half the league.
Yeah.
I don't know. Goalie contracts, because goalie contracts for me do work differently than um like skater contracts. They just structure different. The way the goalie position works is different. You have to look at them differently. But
Yeah. Who knows?
yeah, I don't know. It's like one of those things where it's like we're never gonna know the details of that.
And it's gonna
But
eat me up.
oh, I know, to be a fly on the wall in that room.
Oh, things we could have had.
But it does mean that probably within the next couple of weeks, we will see a Igor Shesterkin contract extension.
Mm.
Um, because it like that was kind of the expectation was like, okay, Jeremy Swayman is going to kind of be the base of that Shesterkin contract of like how far they go.
Mm. Yeah.
Like this is what Jeremy Swayman makes. Okay, well now look at like comparably Igor Shesterkin's career okay, how much more do we go? I very much think it could break 10 million. I think we could look into it being more carry price range. I think what she used was like 10.5.
Yeah.
Was his final contract with the Habs, but you never know, and I think it could definitely change the goalie market for sure, which is nice that we locked Joseph Wool down before then.
Yeah.
Just
Very,
saying.
very good job.
But yeah, no, because now I guess with that being the last of the UFAs and like that being the last of the unsigned guys, we kind of turn our direction more towards what is next up on the docket of contracts that have to get signed. Matthew Nyes.
Matthew Knives.
That one is a very interesting one to me, and that one you could have a whole debate about is Matthew Nyes' contract. Because you could give him the 8-year deal. You know, he is Marner and Matthews, like he is that left wing guy. You kind of don't want to end up in the same situation that happens every time you have a guy that fits that role, that works there, and it's a tale as old as time. You know, comes in, proves he can make it work, has to sign an extension at some point, signs an extension for at the time seems like a fair amount of money, but the term is too short, and then by the end of that contract has outworked himself of that money and has played better than what he was being paid, increases how much he's worth, and then at that point the Leafs can't afford actually how much he's worth.
Yeah. I say sign him, give him the 8 years so that we don't split up everyone's favourite best friends. Joseph or Matthew Knives, because I know personally if that happens and I have to experience the heartbreak of the best friend divorce, I don't think there's any coming back. I don't think I'll be able to come back from it.
Oh, because also as well, like, how I want to think, like, because the Leafs can't afford, like, for Matthew Nyes, he kind of, to me, if this was any other team with any other cap situation, would be getting, like, potentially you could rationalize giving him, like, what we've seen happen with Seth Jarvis, what we've seen happen with Tim Stützle, what we've seen happen with Jack Hughes, Dylan Guenther just recently signed his 8-year deal. Who else is signed to an 8-year deal as of very recently? Who is young? Because I think Dylan Guenther is the same draft class as Matthew Nyes, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
I believe. I'm trying to remember. My brain hurts though, but or these guys are. But you can't. What is Elliot? Okay, so Elliot, what the fuck does this mean? So Elliot Freeman just tweeted out, so clear now. Pacioretty and Toronto agreed to a 1-year, $1.5 million contract when he decided to come to Toronto. Framed as a PTO, so Toronto could maximize its cap flexibility by filling in the base salary as a last possible moment. That's why the number's weird. Bada bing, bada boom, we knew it. It was like the salary, then the bonuses, then the bonus split. Yeah, okay. That's exactly what I said. Thank you, Elliot.
You're just so
I love being right. I love being right. It makes me feel so good. But yeah, so I don't know, because I was having this conversation over the weekend with someone actually in the offside chat about, just shout out to Cody, love Cody, but it was like kind of what the Matthew Nyes contract could look with, because you could be a bridge deal, or it could be something a little bit more long term, and I think maybe some of that depends on like what your plan is for Marner, because maybe do you want to keep Matthew Nyes around long term if like you're taking away half of the line he plays with, or like half of what he has. And again, this leads into another conversation I was actually having with Mary, my co-host, which was radio co-host, which was like, you lessen Austin Matthews' efficacy to score goals by getting rid of Mitch Marner. And there's this fundamental difference between what is a generational player and what is a generational goal scorer. They're sometimes the same thing. Sometimes they are not the same thing. Very much, I would say, Sidney Crosby, generational player. Connor McDavid, building an argument for himself, generational player. Austin Matthews, that's where it gets complicated because, yes, I love Austin Matthews. I think he is fantastic at what he does in scoring goals. Do I think he's a generational player or a generational goal scorer? There's a debate there. And I know some people are going to get mad at me and are going to call me a fake Leaf fan when I say I think he falls more into the generational goal scorer camp than generational player.
Yeah.
Because, and before I say, like, and partially because of that, like, you could be like, oh, well, he didn't used to always play, like, on the same line with Mitch Marner. Yeah, they were also rookies. Like, once they started playing together, the way that Austin Matthews was able to score goals was incredible because you need someone like Mitch Marner who has such a high hockey IQ and such a strong puck sense that he is able to read a play to then put the puck and give Austin Matthews opportunities and situations where he can then score a goal.
Yeah.
Which he can do from anywhere, but he needs someone like with the skill set of Mitch Marner to set him up for that chance. And which is why if you're getting rid of Mitch Marner, you have to present him and you have to replace Mitch Marner with someone who is so good at what Mitch Marner does that that decision, and at less of a price than what you would have paid Mitch Marner to then make it worth it. To then sort of rationalize that idea. And I don't think there is a guy available in the NHL who can do that.
It's like the only person you could replace Mitch Marner with is Mitch Marner.
Yeah. It's like when we were talking about, who's the right wing for John Tavares? John Tavares' right wing is John Tavares.
Yeah. It's like you
like that one game where he shifted away from center and was playing right wing and it would like work and we're like, yes. The person that we've been looking for to be John Tavares' right wing is John Tavares. Or the person like
what a game that was.
That was something else. But that's the thing where it's like there is people who could be Mitch Marner who could for the Leafs. But they're not available for cheaper than what you're going to pay Mitch Marner.
No.
And that's the thing that we always will then loop back to. Right?
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
And so that is my argument for why you should not get rid of Mitch Marner on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Also, like, I love Mitch Marner. I think, like, that's the thing where I'm like, that's why I sit here and be like, you can't get rid of Mitch Marner because because people are going to argue, well, Easton Cowan. No. Oh, Brad Treliving made, why are we getting more announcements? But I will read that in just a little bit. But, like, sorry. Brad is doing things.
Brad's on the move.
But yeah, like you could, because some people would be like, oh well, that's what Easton Cowan's for. No. Easton Cowan is for the eventual, because you're gonna find someone else at some point who can also play up with Austin and Marner. Easton Cowan is for the Nyes Cowan line.
Yeah.
That's what that is. I'm still a little bit cheesed that we unfortunately couldn't see that line because Minton was injured. I wanted to see it like a game in camp. I'm sure we probably would have seen it as Nyes was going to was playing like the home and the away games in the preseason. Like I would have thought I was like, we're gonna see that at an away game. We're gonna see like a Nyes Minton Cowan line because like textbook, that is how you put together a textbook perfect line.
Yeah.
That is by the book. That's how you, when you're like, it's like when you're building a line, that's the line, right? That's literally how you build a line. And I've had this conversation with so many people and they're like, no, you're right. That is just how you build a line. But maybe next year, maybe sometime this season.
Who knows?
But yeah, so here we go. Brad is still doing things. Maple Leafs announced staff updates. Jason Taylor has been hired as a pro scout. Gerard Smith has been hired as an amateur scout, and Scott Carter has been hired as a part-time pro and amateur scout, and former Maple Leafs defenseman Jake Muzzin has moved into player development.
Yay!
I often think about like what we could have gotten with Jake Muzzin with this like current iteration of like the Leafs blue line. Like I got like a TikTok edit of Jake Muzzin, which I was like, oh, I didn't know people were making these.
That's kind of thrown me a bit.
I was like, oh, I didn't know we were making Jake Muzzin TikTok edits.
Deep respect to the Jake Muzzin TikTok editors.
Which also can then show you about how like deep into hockey right now that my TikTok for you page is that I am getting Jake Muzzin TikTok edits.
Like that's impressive because not even I've got there yet, and that's saying something.
But like I saw someone that was like, imagine like a Riley Tanev McCabe Muzzin line.
Oh, things we could have had.
The things we could have had. But yeah, but it's good to see that he's still involved in the organization as well. But yeah, Jason Taylor joins the Maple Leafs after 3 years as an amateur scout for guess who? The Calgary Flames.
Whoa, no way.
Yeah. Jared Smith, is it Jared or Gerard? Who knows? Spent 12 years with the Windsor Spitfires of the Ontario Hockey League, most recently serving as head coach during the 2023-24 OHL season. Before being named head coach, Smith spent 2 seasons. Okay, interesting. Scott Carter returns to the Maple Leafs, where he previously served as amateur scout for 6 seasons, 2009 to 2015. Think of the names there. Following his departure, he spent 6 seasons as the general manager of the Spokane Chiefs in the WHL. Carter will work primarily with West Coast scouting, both professional and amateur games. Fun. And then it goes on to also explain Jake Muzzin's career, which we know. Development's about, he was as a pro scout for Toronto, but it's good to see that he's now working into more of a player development role, which we saw him do a little bit during camp as well. We saw glimpses of that. So I think, Leafs development staff are in great hands with Jake Muzzin and Dr. Haley Wickenheiser.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's great. I have nothing else to add. I'm trying to remember if I have anything else to add.
Yeah, I think that's my list. We've ticked everything off.
Yeah.
Fun episode.
Fun episode, yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm like, I don't think there's anything else to add. We will be back on Thursday to discuss the first game of the season.
Yeah.
That's happening on Wednesday, and also as well to kind of lead into the second game of the season against the Leafs' former head coach, Sheldon Keefe, and his New Jersey Devils. I can't wait to lose that game in the most embarrassing Leafy way possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's exciting. Really exciting. I think as well, then you will be seeing, and then we get right into the swing of the season, and I'm so excited to start note-taking games again.
Oh, yeah, I bet you've missed that so much.
I've missed it so much. Well, I still write everything in my notebook and stuff, but like I was showing.
You've missed your little Leafs game section.
I was, because we were talking about because on Friday I went to go cover Ottawa's men's hockey season home opener, which we won against Ontario Tech. And it was really great. We got like media passes for it and stuff too, so I got to do like post-game interviews and things like that.
You?
I'm very proud of myself. But yeah, so I don't remember, but one of my radio hosts, Mary, was doing all of like the game notes for that game. And so we were talking about like our note taking and things like that. And we were talking about how like it only really has to make sense to us when it comes to taking notes on a game, and I was like showing her some of my favorites from throughout last year that I had done for the podcast, where I was like, some of these sentences, like looking back, don't make sense.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the best type of note.
yeah, I'm trying to find a good one. But yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. But oh, with that being said,
I guess
I'm
you're just
excited.
having fun flicking through.
Yeah, with that being said, yeah, we were just having fun. We were flipping through and like looking at notes, and I'm excited to get back into the swing of things. And getting to talk about Leafs playing actual hockey that matters. Real hockey. I'm excited. So can't wait. Also as well, Tim's cards are back. Hockey cards are back at Tim's. Oh my god, there was something else today where I was like, oh, this happened today, and I can't remember what it was. But I just noticed, I was like, something happened, and I can't remember, and I will probably remember after we're done recording, and I will end up just tweeting it out anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The usual.
The usual. Big fun, big excitement, busy week coming up. Yeah. All right. With that being said, thank you so much for listening. This has been From the Fourth Line, presented by Offside News. You can find Offside News on every social media platform at Offside News Co. You can also find them on their website at offsidenewsco.com. That information, as always, will be in the show notes. You can find the podcast, our show, wherever you get your podcasts, and you also follow the show on Twitter at From the Fourth Line. That's fourth with the number 4TH. You can also follow myself and Marcie if you miss us ever so dearly between episodes on Twitter at 60 Leafs for Marcie, at PairB1 for myself. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back on Thursday to discuss the start of the season across the league, but also the Leafs. Joseph Wool's getting the start.
Yes.
It's so exciting. Leafs in Montreal.
Us.
A classic rivalry. It's going to be a big one.
Beautiful.
Wednesday night hockey. Go Leafs, go, baby.
Go Leafs, go.